What's up, everybody? Brandon Taylor here for RideAlong Sports. Coming at you again with another episode right here, staring straight at Rivalry Week. It's Thanksgiving week. It's just all good things. Don't you love this time of the year, folks? The season's winding on down, and we obviously hate that, because we don't want football to end, because we live and breathe football. But you know what? There's still a lot of games to be played. There's still a lot at stake, and that continues this week. It's Rivalry Week, like I said, Thanksgiving week, and I want to go ahead and start and wish you guys, wherever you are, a very happy Thanksgiving. Hope you enjoy yourself, enjoy company with others, enjoy food, among other great and wonderful things. I'm Brandon Taylor here. Our good buddy Zach Ainsworth is out. He's on an important assignment tonight, and so we're just going to talk about the Egg Bowl. That's what we're doing right here on this episode, the battle for the golden egg. And I'm thankful that we're able to really to have rivalries. Like, that's something I'm thankful for, that we have this thing in college football where two teams can have a rivalry. And in this case, there can be a trophy presented to the winner, a trophy that goes with the winning team every year. So that's what I'm thankful for. And there's a lot of great games on the slate for this weekend. You've obviously got the Iron Bowl, and you've got the game, as they like to call it up north, between Ohio State and Michigan, that has major playoff ramifications. But for this episode right here for RideAlong Sports, we're going to talk specifically about this Egg Bowl game. I'll give you my prediction. I've got Zach's prediction right here on the computer, and we're going to go from there. But before we get into this game, get into 2023, I would like to take a look back, tell you a little bit of history about the game. Not a whole lot. I'm not a huge history person. I love history, but I would be lying if I told you I knew the entire, 120-year history of this game. Now, I'd like to hear the input from others that have lived through decades and decades of this game, but for myself, I don't have that many memories of it, just for the past 20 years. For the most part. But I said the 120 years. This is the 120th meeting between Ole Miss and Mississippi State. This ball game, obviously going to take place Thanksgiving, 6:30 Central Time. I got that wrong right there on the banner. It's 7:30 Eastern. Ole Miss is currently a 10-point favorite in this ball game. Now, this is the 120th meeting. The first one was in 1902, and you may wonder about the trophy itself, and you see it right there on the banner. The trophy, the golden egg, as what's printed on the trophy itself, or etched into the trophy itself. It started in 1927, because like a lot of rivalries, especially some of these in-state rivalries, much like the Iron Bowl, it can get pretty heated. And this game right here has always, the players, the fans have always been passionate. You think like, we've had these fights, like in the late 90s, there were some pretty big brawls that happened before the game, during the game. But no, this has been going on for a long time, honestly, and really what led to the trophy being created. And as I'm reading here from a quote of how this kind of came about. So I'm reading here from Wikipedia. It says, through 1925, Ole Miss had only won 5 times out of the 23 total contests. It was a rough time for the Rebels. In 1926, when the Red and Blue ended their 13-game losing streak by defeating A&M, Mississippi State used to be called A&M, Mississippi A&M, a long time ago before they were before they became a state university. They beat Mississippi State 7-6 in Starkville. The Ole Miss fan. This is what's so funny about this, and this is what I really love about it, because it seems so unusual. The Ole Miss fans rushed the field with some trying to tear the goalpost down. Can you imagine that? In today's time, you go to your rival, you go to any away game, really. You win the game, and you tear their goalposts down. Like, I know it happens, obviously, when you're at home. You're at home and you have a big win. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of liquid that's been flowing. And you go in there and you tear your own goalpost down. But to tear your opponent's goalpost down is like a whole nother level. So the State fans did not take well to Ole Miss fans coming and destroying their property, and fights broke out. Some fans defended the goalpost with wooden chairs, and several injuries reported. According to one account, and this is a quote, irate Aggie supporters took their ambitious Ole Miss group, took after the ambitious Ole Miss group with cane-bottom chairs, and fights broke out. The mayhem continued until most of the chairs were splintered. So basically, the schools came together. They created this golden egg trophy, which started as the egg on the top, and has since grown from there to the current round base that's on the trophy itself. So it kind of, I don't know, like I think that helps. I mean, you're fighting for something, right? For a tangible physical item. So in 1927, it was the first time that the trophy was awarded, and it's went back and forth since then. And there was a certain amount of time from 1973 to 1990 where they played this game in Jackson. They didn't even play this game in the prospective towns and the prospective stadiums of the two teams. I think the Iron Bowl was like this also. They played in Birmingham for a lot of the time, but a lot of people, obviously people like that, but a lot of people hated that. The games got brought back to campus, and I think the idea was early on, the stadiums at Mississippi State, Davis Wade Stadium and Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, which I don't know if it was Vaught-Hemingway Stadium at the time. It could have still been Hemingway Stadium. And I'm assuming Davis Wade was Davis Wade. I could be wrong about that too. But hey, I'm sure you Mississippi State fans will correct me on that. But the stadiums are really small, so they started playing in Jackson. They had a big stadium down there in Jackson that could seat like 60,000 people. They brought it back to campus, and a lot's happened. You've had so many memories since then, in just in the past 20, 30 years, just in the past 10 to 12 years. Who can forget the 2019 Egg Bowl with the piss and miss? Or as some people like to add a little bit to that, the piss, the miss, and the double dismiss, because you had Matt Luke fired. Matt Luke was fired in that game. And then Joe Moorhead, who was the coach at Mississippi State, ended up getting fired a few weeks later, maybe after their bowl game. And that was very interesting. That I've had the question, and I said this a minute ago about the game. The game's played on Thanksgiving. Okay, I was talking about this earlier. A lot of people like that. A lot of people don't like that. I go back and forth. Like, I don't know if I like the game being played on Thanksgiving night or not. It's at times been played on Saturday. It's kind of weird how that works. Of course, it's all up to the networks. They're the ones that decide it. But, I've one thing that kind of really settled it for me. I remember for at least from 2012 up to last year, with maybe a year in there where it wasn't the case. I was with family. Had a nice, great Thanksgiving meal. And then we watched the Egg Bowl, and it either made the Thanksgiving better or it ruined it. 2019 was a perfect example of why I hate the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving. And at the same time, I might love it. See, now this year, I'm excited about it being on Thanksgiving night. It feels special. But in 2019, I had one of the best meals I've ever had in my life with people that I love. 15, 20 minutes later, Elijah Moore scores the game-tying touchdown. He does a dog pee celebration in the end zone. They throw a flag. They take 15 yards off of the PAT. The kicker at the time was not very good. State knew that. And we all knew what was about to happen. He misses the kick wide right. Ole Miss loses by a point in Starkville. And, oh boy, that's a series of events there. Like, talk about that feeling I can't describe in my soul. But, however, when your team, whoever you are, if you're an Ole Miss fan, if you're a Mississippi State fan, when your team comes out on top, that's the best Thanksgiving you've ever had. So people always go back and forth on that, but it'll always be up to the networks. They're always going to be the one to decide. No doubt about that. But you know what? Let's get into this year. Let's take a look at the landscape of everything in this game, because you've got an Ole Miss team that's number 12 in the rankings. They're 9-2, 5-2 in the conference, with losses only to Alabama and Georgia, two teams that are in the top 8 in the country. Meanwhile, you've got Mississippi State that's had coaching issues. They just fired their coach, Zach Arnett, who took over from Mike Leach after his tragic passing last year, after the Egg Bowl win last year. And how fitting was that Mike Leach's last bowl game, or last game at all, was a victory over Ole Miss to win the Egg Bowl. And I know, games, that doesn't mean much. We're talking about a human life here. But that's really one thing. Honestly, I think it kind of, for Ole Miss fans, it made it not seem as bad, because you kind of feel good that, he went out on this high note. That he went out, and that's special to him. And special to the fans, special to his family. And obviously, we'd all love for him to be here still, but just God rest his soul. And we miss you, Mike Leach. We really do. We really do. But Zach Arnett was put in that position, and he coached in the bowl game, the RideAlong Bowl, where they beat Illinois, and they felt pretty good. That was a good thing for them. So then they make Zach Arnett the coach. It's kind of a maybe an impulse decision. I don't know if that's the right word, but they had to have somebody in a head coaching position, and obviously, if you ask me, he should have been in an interim position. I think it was kind of careless to just throw him into the full coaching. I feel bad for him, because Zach Arnett was a defensive coordinator. All right. He and the defense wasn't bad. The Mississippi State defense has never been that bad, honestly. They've always been fairly consistent over the years. And that's always been the case, and it continued with him. So he gets put in this position. They try to do different things on offense. They've been running this air raid offense, and they've got players that have came to Mississippi State just to run that air raid offense. You've got a quarterback in Will Rogers that played it in high school, never even took a snap under center. He was all shotgun. And you've got players that came there expecting to catch passes in the air raid offense. So then you completely try to change that. You completely try to go away from that, and they really struggled. They've had a really, really difficult time trying to get anything done. any kind of production on offense. So they're right here in this position, 5-6, and they're looking to become bowl eligible and continue a bowl streak. But they're hurting right now, and they're right in the middle of this coaching search. I know that the fans are excited. They're really excited about, because that is an exciting thing, right? You get a new coach, and you hope everything's going to look up from there. But for this game, I've listened to Mississippi State fans this week. And a lot of them, they don't seem too hopeful. They're really down about this ball game. And look, maybe now versus a lot of times the talent discrepancy or the discrepancy within the teams are really great. Like Ole Miss is a great team, and Mississippi State is really, really subpar. And that's not always the case. And obviously, look, there's been shakeups in this ball game. Sometimes the worst team wins. As funny as it is to say, and this is a Super Bowl for Mississippi State. It really is. And, I've got Zach's pick here, and I'm going to go ahead and say this. Ole Miss has got a 10-point, they're 10-point favorites in this game. Mississippi State 10-point dogs currently. It opened at about 13, now it's down to 10. Now, Ole Miss, on the other hand, you've got Jackson Dart that's playing well. It's done pretty good. The offensive line has struggled. There's no doubt about that. They've been struggling. They've had their issues. They've allowed Jackson Dart to get hit. They've failed at a lot of times of allowing the run to develop because they can't hold their positions. Not as many issues down the field, but you've had some issues with maybe some drop passes, but you got great players out there. You've got Trey Harris, for example, that has made some incredible catches, this year. But on defense, that's the thing that everybody's worried about. The Ole Miss defense, and look, they had some issues. They've caused Ole Miss to be into some shootouts, as LSU is a good example. The LSU game early in the year, where they kind of went back and forth for 60 minutes, and Ole Miss just got the better of them offensively. But I tell people, in that game, there were certain stops that Ole Miss defense made that really made a difference in the game, and that's something you've got to consider. Ole Miss's defense in the past could not catch a cold. They could not tackle they couldn't tackle a tackle dummy. And right now, I think Pete Golding's doing a great job. He just needs more time to completely develop that Ole Miss defense, to get better players. Now, the Rebels are 16th in the country in average scoring. They average 36.5 points a game. And on Mississippi State's side, they're 94th in college football, scoring 23.2 points per game, and they rank 114th in passing production. This is a team that ran the air raid offense for years under Mike Leach, and it's just hard to believe how they've went the other way. And I think Ole Miss comes into this game, and they're really expecting to win. The fans are expecting to win. You win this game, you get to 10 wins again. This is your second 10-win season in 2 years. Lane Kiffin is building a great career there at Ole Miss in Oxford, and he has no sign of stopping. And this is what it's going to take. Like, you've got to win this game and hope you make it to New Year's Six. And this is one of those crazy years where you can win 10 games in the regular season and miss a New Year's Six bowl, because Missouri is pretty hot right now. A lot of argument between that. Which one's actually better? Is Ole Miss better or is Missouri better? Ole Miss has made it to the New Year's Six Bowls with 9 wins. They did it 2 other times back in the mid-2010s with Hugh Freeze at the helm with the headset on. But, you know, this ball game is going to come down to one thing, and I think what Ole Miss is going to try to do, like they do with any game, they're going to try to jump up early. They're going to try to get a score early. They're going to expose the holes in Mississippi State's defense. And I see them playing a balanced game. Now, the conditions, people are acting like the conditions, there may be a little bit of rain. I'm going to be at this ball game, by the way. I will be in attendance here at the Egg Bowl in Starkville, Mississippi. So it's going to affect me too. Believe it or not. I have it's not going to matter. I'm not on the field. It doesn't really matter what I think or what I feel, but I'll be there. It's going to be cold. Possible rain, maybe 10% chance of rain. It probably won't rain. It'll just be cloudy. But I think Ole Miss runs all over this State defense, and if State can figure that out, I think they go to the air. And I just cannot see a way where Mississippi State can stop Ole Miss. Now, honestly, I can see Mississippi State gaining some leverage, getting some momentum on offense. I can see them moving the ball a little bit and maybe establishing some rhythm there. It may be a little close early. But, you know, Zach's got this game, and if I can pull his score up here, he's got the Rebels winning this game 38-20. And I think he's about right there. But I'm going to go even further. I'm going to differ from that just a little bit. I'm going to say Ole Miss wins this game 41-17. That may come back to bite me. It may be a lot closer. Ole Miss may not score as much as that, but I think it's 41-17. They get in there. They get a good score too early. Kind of throws Mississippi State off, but Mississippi State kind of, does a little bit. They fight. Maybe the middle of the game slows down a little bit, but then Ole Miss continues to score towards the end. And they leave Starkville with the Golden Egg Trophy, 41-17. Zach, like I said, has got 38-20. We're both very close there. Ole Miss beats the heck out of that spread. They just kill it. And they move on from there. They'll be 10-2, hoping for a New Year's Six Bowl, but if not, a berth in the Citrus Bowl, and that's another successful season. That's just how it is. Looking into the future, does Jackson Dart stay? Kiffin kind of let the cat out of the bag. He said Jackson Dart was going to stay, but at the same time, Jackson Dart's like, I'm not really sure yet. You've got a lot of players that's going to return. You've got, it's to be determined what the transfer portal is going to look like. But whatever happens, it's going to be a fun game. Thanksgiving night. Again, I said I'll be there. And we're going to have a blast, and I hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving, wherever you are, however you're going to be enjoying it. And it's rivalry week. Stay tuned. We've got other videos, and if you're watching this after we've posted those, stay tuned for the Iron Bowl. We got Ohio State, Michigan, and all that good stuff. And obviously we'll have recaps of all these next week after the fact. And again, have a great Turkey Day, everybody. Don't eat too much, but have fun watching football, enjoying each other's company, and everything in between. Again, my name is Brandon Taylor. For Zach Ainsworth, this is Ride Along Sports. I want to thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the preview of the Ole Miss Rebels and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And as always, much love, peace, God bless. We'll see you next time, folks.